So your player turns to you and says, I want to take my 2 daggers, leap into the air, do a semicircle somersault thing and land on the back of the troll's neck and then stab it in the ears from either side, perforating its brain and covering myself in blood. What check do I make? What check do you make? How do you even know how to make this particular check? Because the rules don't tell you. Well, this is how you do it. Hello and welcome to today's episode. My name is Guy and today we're going to be looking at authority. Now, last week we looked at control and we have 3 distinct pillars that I draw from as a game master in order to make my life easier, simpler and better, and to give my players something from which they can work against, knowing that since I'm working on those 3 pillars, they can rely on those 3 pillars, and it's a great kind of way of measuring yourself at the end of your game as well, if you can look back and say, well, did I support those 3 pillars, or did they support me, or did I kind of forget about them and not use them, and that's why I had a panic attack. Now, the particular example we're talking about today is that there is a character in your game. They use 2 daggers for whatever reason, and they have come across this cave troll. Roar! Now, the cave troll, of course, is very dangerous, and the party have been maneuvering around this cave troll trying to kill it. The character with the 2 daggers leaps into the air, somersaults, spins around, and lands on the troll's back, and then tries to bury the 2 daggers into the troll's ears very specifically, to cause vast amounts of blood spray everywhere whilst she decapitates or at least lobotomizes this particular monster. What roles should you be making in terms of that? You, as the game master, you have to make the decision on those. So how do you make the right call? How do you do it? Especially in that kind of scenario. Well, I always look and turn to 3 things to make sure that I am doing pretty much what we need to do in this particular case, which is effectively making a call. It's making your call. The rules are not going to help you here. So we look for 3 things. We look for consistency, we look for equality, and we look for advancing. Now, what do I mean by those? Well, in terms of consistency, we're not talking about Mrs. Muggins' home-brewed potato and mustard mash. We're not talking about the consistency of porridge. We're talking about the consistency in terms of applying the same rules to each and every single player's character and the situations they find themselves in. So that means if you've got one particular player who is very creative and likes to push the envelope and be a little bit more dramatic in their descriptions, and another player who just hits stuff and kills stuff, you need to make sure that you're giving them both the same opportunity, so that the one who's dramatic and who jumps around doing somersaults, killing trolls, and then covering themselves in blood, they have the opportunity to be able to do that, and you're going to be giving them some rules and die rolls and things to make. But when another player does the same thing, that you don't just dismiss them out of hand because they're the boring player and they don't really come up with some cool stuff. You also, though, need to be able to put the brakes on, and so that when that player says, all right, so what I want to do is run across the arrows being fired at us by those enemy orcs over there. I'm going to run across the arrows using them as platforms, leap into the air, land on the back of the giant troll, and stab my daggers through its ears. Okay, no, sometimes there is too much. We can only go so far before the rules get in the way, and we also need to decide, is our game going to be like that or not? For consistency's sake, we can choose either or, but then we must make sure that we apply it to everybody. Equality, on the other hand, now equality is all about making sure that when you are applying the rule, you're applying it across the board, so that once you have decided that, yes, okay, you can jump across arrows, you can somersault onto the back of a creature, everybody gets the same ruling, so that when one character is trying to do acrobatics and they say, oh, can't I use athletics instead because I've got better athletics than I have acrobatics? No, because I've ruled that it was an acrobatics check. We're not going to change that now. So it needs to be equally applied. What's good for the goose is good for the gander. What's good for the orc is good for the player, as far as I'm concerned. So it needs to be equal, and then it needs to advance the plot. Does this push the story forward, or does it stop everything? Does it halt everything? Does it slow everything down? We don't want that to happen. If it's a case of, all right, so your character needs to leap into the air, give me an acrobatics check. Your character needs to do a somersault, give me another acrobatics check. Your character needs to then land on the back of the troll, so give me an attack action to land on the thing's back. Now you need to give me another attack action to strike it in the ears, and then you need to roll your damage, and oh yeah, your damage is 2 points, so that's not even enough to pierce his ears, let alone to pierce his brain. All of that took so long, and it would take even longer in real life, trust me, took so long, and did anything come out of it? No. All of that, and it's like, well, I'll go back to hitting it. Yeah, I'm just going to hit it. All that description, all that time, wasted. It didn't advance the story. So making all of those calls, although they might have been technically accurate, was technically very, very boring. So we got to balance that up. So let's see here. Don't spend more than 40 seconds making a call. 40 seconds is a really long time. Look at this. Okay, there wasn't even 10 seconds of me holding my breath, and I mean, I was just doing it for... That's such a long time. It's forever. We don't want to spend forever making a call. So the moment something happens, make a call and then move on. Just move on. You want to jump, you leap up into the air, you do a somersault. You've got a great dexterity score. You probably do somersaults when you're sleeping. You do a somersault into the air. That's brilliant. It doesn't affect a thing. You land on the creature's back. Okay, that might necessitate a roll, but I want you to do an acrobatics roll for me so that you can land on its back. It, in its turn, can try and get you off. It's not a grapple, you're not slowing this thing down, you're not causing it any hindrance whatsoever, because it's a giant troll, and this is a small little teeny-weeny human character elf, let's say, for example. No hindrance to the troll whatsoever, so my call is, you make an acrobatics check to land on its shoulders, and then an attack roll to hit it in the head. Move on. After the session, we can then sit and go, well, now that actually isn't how the rules work, is it? No, not really. No, completely wrong. Actually, that rule came from 3.5. Yeah, I do that a lot. Anyway, so revisit after the session. Now, again, maybe this still doesn't help you in terms of how to make the right call. You're like, well, I still don't know, I'm not sure. But that's fine. If you're unsure, ask the table. Hey, folks, what checks would you guys do in order to do this? Listen to them, reassess, and go, you know, I'm the GM for a reason. You're all wrong. This is the call I'm making. Or, that's a brilliant idea, Joanne. We're going to go with that one. Thanks for being at my table, Joanne. Now, this is the call we're going to make because Joanne said it, and later on we'll revise it and check it. Alternatively, if you have a rules lawyer, somebody who really loves reading those rules, they're brilliant people to have at the table, ask them if they would mind being an advisor before the session starts. Hey, listen, William, would you be a rules lawyer for my session today? Would you just, if I ask you for a rule, give me the answer, but that's it. I might not use it. Prep them with that one, by the way. Prep them with that one. Listen to what they say. Make the call. Okay, they're doing this. Yeah, that's what the rules would say. No, it doesn't advance my story. No, I don't like that. We're going to do it this way. Afterwards, William, you and I can sit down and we can go through what it should have been. So that's how you make the right call. It's important to realize. Just base it on that. Do it quickly. Does it advance the story? Have you applied it to somebody else beforehand? Have you used it before in a session? After the session, you can revise, and the next time you get together, you say, guys, listen, last week I allowed so-and-so to do this jump because Joanne said this rule, William said it was okay, and we did it. Actually, after the session, we talked about it and we realized that there would have been more checks involved. So moving forward, that's what we're going to be doing now. Everyone at the table needs to be aware of your rules calls, but it's your call. Make it and stick to it, and then people will respect your authority, because that's what you are. Ultimately, one of those pillars, authority, and you only get it by applying these things, in my opinion. So, use it tonight, use it tomorrow, use it at your next session, and I guarantee you're going to find that your sessions will flow just a little bit smoother, a little bit faster, because you're going to be advancing your story rather than putting the brakes on to try and find out some rule that's going to slow everything down. Until next time, I wish you and yours the very happiest of gaming. Discord.gg/GreatGM. Join us there and you'll get insights, you'll meet 5,000 role players There's 5,000 people who found our Discord channel through these videos, so you know they're of like mind, they think similarly, or they think the exact opposite, and they're there to prove everyone that I'm wrong, which is fine as well. It's all about debate and learning from one another. Till next time, goodbye.